Don't hate on me. Don't hate on me. It wasn't that the mic was muted. The mic wasn't muted. The settings changed again. It's the settings fault, okay? It's not mine. Sometimes, for some reason, I don't get why it happens about once a week. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you guys for telling me. About once a week, this thing, like, it just disconnects from my streaming platform, which is annoying. But the thing we're paying attention to today, hey, do we hold up better, right? Do we hold up better? Do we make some kind of fake out move? But the key thing here is saying, you know, if this is going to get bad, you're going to see a 30-minute cross, right? If we're expecting, or if you're thinking some kind of stock market crash is going to happen, which I'm not leaning towards at all at this point, if that turns down right now, well, then this would say, hey, if I'm open to a stock market crash, which I am, I just don't think it's that highly probable at this exact moment. If this would curl down, well, that's how a crash would start, right? You would originally see some kind of 30-minute by the weekly expected move curl down, right? So we don't necessarily want to be in like upward plays if this 30-minute crosses down, but if this is able to make some kind of reversal signal down here, that is when we can make a decision. But during the downside, we still want to treat it with caution. People are pretty quick to hit that sell button, so we'll see. I am not leaning towards that in any fashion. I'm actually, for some reason in my head, and the signals say we need to be paying attention to if we get an upward move, a lower high. We are going to be paying attention to that. And I think that's mainly what I think we'll end up having. But for some reason, there's a little thing, a little gut feeling in my tummy that we might actually go to new all-time highs, you know, maybe sometime in April, maybe by the end of March. We'll see. But I just keep having this little buzzing in my ear, like, hey, just pay attention in case you go to all-time highs. So for today, the fake out that we are looking for the SPY and the Qs is going to be do we sweep the low, make a divergence, and then see that thing curl up into positive territory. VIX is down, and that's why when I was muted, I was suggesting, hey, we got that pop, we got the drop, to come fill that real quick. But remember the 2 hour. I don't think you want this 2 hour to cross up. Big volatility can come in if this 2 hour starts to cross up, so I really don't think I want to see that. This would suggest that we are not going to make a 30-minute divergence. This is a 2 hour chart. This would suggest that 30-minute divergence down there ain't going to happen. So I think maybe we get that little reaction and then we just see this thing fail, right? Eventually, I think we just see, hey, maybe an upward move, and then we actually fail if we're going to end up in the bullish direction. So we can just pay attention, right? Let's not do anything based on what we think, what we feel, our feelings. Does the market care about your feelings? I bet if Ben Shapiro was a big... he was the one that did that phrase, right? But I bet if Ben Shapiro was a stock trader, he would be like, what? The market doesn't care about your facts, what is it? Facts over feelings? Okay. The market doesn't care about your feelings. Bro's favorite world is divergence. Yes. I would make it your favorite. By the end of March would be crazy. Of course I love divergence. Why the hell wouldn't I? I like higher lows too, but I like divergence better. Why would I like divergence better? Why would I be very excited about divergences all the time? Why do I like divergences? Does anyone know? Does anyone actually, like, you're the one that said the comment. So let's see. Let's put your brain games to the test. Why would a trader really like divergence? I still like lower highs. I still like little swing trades, but why would I like divergence? And it's pretty fucking simple. Big money's in traps and reversals. Exactly. Why? Okay, so here's the thing. If there's a divergence versus a higher low, do you think people are very bearish here, or do you think they would be more bearish right here? Brain not found to Mad Dog. Biggest sign of direction change, Reese. Very, very nice. Biggest sign of potential direction change, right? Those things can fail, but you are correct in that saying, Reese. I'm just adding that bit in there so we keep in mind at all times our risk management. But the other thing is, if everyone's buying puts and the demand for puts or shorts, you know, whatever you want to call, if the demand for that is really high, then are puts expensive? Probably. Now, if the puts are expensive, then could at some point down in these levels calls, be less expensive? Could calls be less expensive here, right? So, oh man, this guy loves divergence. Every trader should love divergence. Every single one. And I bet a lot of people who have been a part of this channel for a long time really love divergence now. How fun is that? Nice PPI. Let's go check on that real quick because I haven't looked at it this morning. Wanted to go look over at that PPI coming in at, whoa, wait a second. Wait a second, 0%? Wow. Core is negative, but 0%. People probably reading into initial jobless claims, but that came in lower. This is, oh, wow, okay. Interesting. Wow. This is like some good data. Holy crap. Thanks, Sid. Thanks for shouting that out. Does this mean stagflation? I think a lot of people have assumed we're in stagflation times, like, for months now. So, how is our Apple? Apple was one of the ones I really didn't like that much, but you do have these 30 minutes trying to whip back around. I just like to see it on the MACD at the same time, but you do have all the reversal signals here. Right, so if I really hated divergence, I probably wouldn't even be seeing this right now. So I'm glad I like divergence. I would highly encourage you to like it too, because, you know, once I fully understood divergence, hey, everything was up from there, to be honest. All I had to do was study divergence and study weekly expected move and study price action, and I'm good now. Like, people were funny. What do you like? Like, what do you guys like? Do you like bear traps? Like, is that what you like? Do you like to buy shorts at the lows? Like, I don't get it. I'm looking for puts. Well, you know, this is where people might apply that, right? Day traders might take control, do something like this today. We'll see. But that PPI, 0%. Are you kidding me? 0%. That's kind of crazy. I like women. Hey, that's good. I like real women. Women in reality. Not women in people's minds. I feel like I'm on one this morning. It's not good. That's not a good sign. I feel like my usually, so like I created a filter for myself to be, so I didn't just say truthful things all the time that hurts people's feelings, but for some reason it's coming out a lot today. You're picky. Okay, that's good. So Zana, so one thing to talk about with puts is during a downtrend, a lot of the time, most, at least people who are intelligent about when to buy that position, unintelligent people buy it here. Unless it's long-term, right? They could take long-term, but I'm more talking about shorter-term. Shorter-term people will apply those positions near the 5-day moving average. And that's why every time we get there, we see a drop. So you're kind of looking for something different this time. Being on one is good. That's right. West Side, what up? Put your seatbelts on. Will be a turbulent ride. Yes, today you will be flying with Lucas Airlines. We only hire based on DEI, and half of our pilots don't even know what a plane is. But it's okay, because they have only gotten in less than 10 car accidents in their life, so they know how to fly a plane. Get ready for the ride. Divergence, fib, sort of a macro plan. I like it, Reese. I like it. I'm walking. Yeah, you don't want to fly on this airline. My daughter's going to be flying. She's very qualified. She's 1 year old, but hey, she hits that DEI. She's Ecuadorian. AMD is great. AMD, once again, we showed this off yesterday just for a brief moment. We talked about it, I think, in the Patreon video. We talked about it a couple times, but this is insanely good, and this can curl up daily charts, right? It looks nice. It looks nice. Okay, shoot. Sorry, someone just messaged me something. So yeah, this one's pretty simple. 2-hour divergence, 30-minute. It's way up there. So this means that I can be way less worried about this cutting this low. This means that this is very likely to be the low. Okay, at this point, right? Once you can look back and say, okay, this is more likely to be the low. This has a high probability of being the bottom. It's AMD, so I don't trust AMD with $1 of mine personally, because this thing is bad, bad, bad. But as far as like maybe an investment goes, I could see myself buying this without options at this point, because look at the daily divergence. I mean, it's there. You could see a big snapback to like, what, all the way up to here, like 116. That'd be nice. But it's just not my best friend. 30 minutes in a positive trend, so pullbacks are welcome. Notice that we're tagging the 5 and leaving a gap behind. We'll probably end up filling that gap. Then we're going to look at Palantir. But someone did mention something else. Hold on, no, my wife's from Ecuador. Hey, that's dope. Top synopsis, yeah. Her mom legally immigrated here. And she has a lot of stuff to say about what's going on right now, and I can tell you, she's more talking like someone who's America first, and she literally is a legal immigrant. It's very dope. She's a very nice person. I really love them. Gotta have faith in AMD, I get you. The Nike chart, let's go check that out in a second. Let me look at Palantir because someone asked first. Okay, short Fridays, then we'll get into it. The 30-minute, not a lot to do here. So you want to be aware that Palantir almost has that buying structure that invites like possible moves to actually come down here. I know that this is actually more positive here, but I think you still want to be aware if you get some kind of dip down. We would like this to overall hold some kind of flagging. I don't think the buying's the weakest, but it's just in this little almost mini channel, not the best look. So we can always drop down to make that higher low. We could even lose that 5 real quick, and you could potentially come and fill this gap, or even go test the low and go make a new one. So the 2 hour here is able to confirm. The 30 minutes a little bit positive, so we want to be very open to, hey, this is probable to be a bottom, right? This is very probable to be a bottom. But just for Palantir, I don't know why, but I think it's just that positioning of the MACD just a tiny bit lower just makes me go, I'll be a little aware of it. We have extreme volatility, so this is a little bit closer here. Maybe that could happen. But for the time being, I would just, month out positions are going to be great here. I mean, let's go check on my buddy Amazon for a sec. That thing's dropping down, right? So this will be a management of the trade maybe, but it's a positive trend. This one failed to take back the 5, so you see why we're managing the potential trade at some point here. So we're seeing if this type of thing can happen. This is where we're paying attention to the SPY, seeing if we're going to make those divergences. Nike, though, let's go look at Nike. You want to see a lower high? That's a lower high for sure, dude. At least on the 2 hour. So for this, you're going to need to see recovery here. I mean, this looks like downtrend with no real reversals on the 2 hour yet. 30 minutes suggesting, hey, yeah, we can get some kind of bounce. So maybe we go retest something like 77.46 to the upside. I think that's the bull case. If you can get above that, you might have some arguments there. Get up to 80.28. Right, build up to that level, see that retest, go up again. That would be very good, I think. But if you retest this level and you don't break through and you just fail, I think you're going to maybe end up down towards $70, and then you got to watch out for earnings. I think it's more of one that you don't have a lot to go off of, but you can kind of read into like how this might behave. And then your job is to figure out, hey, if one of the things I'm paying attention to happens, am I trying to take the trade here? Am I trying to take the trade here? That's kind of the thing you have to plan. This looks like it needs more time. So if I was solely trading Nike, I'd probably be a little bit patient with it. At the end of the day, though, if the daily can end up turning back up, ooh, right shoulder that could have been. Hello, my friend. Actually, it's more this level. So you notice we got excited. We potentially, actually, this is not a right shoulder because of this. What the heck happened there? But you did just have divergence. You retested the 200. If the daily can whip back around through that level again, that $80 level, I'd really be happy. And that's actually where we set up that little cup, or that little head and shoulders in here, right? So Nike, I think you're looking for that reaction to 80.30. And if you could pull back to 77.46 and see that in this clump here, see that produce more upside, I think you're going to end up in these top levels. And you got to be aware there's some trend lines and stuff going on up there. SPY, though, starting to drop off on this 30-minute. We'll see. Are we going to head down to do a daily expected move? The monthly does look bad. We have more than half of the month left. I'll show you something. You want to see something cool? You want to see something cool? Remember August? Everyone was saying the same thing. Here, I'll do it like this. Red. This is what you saw in August. For the beginning of August. That's what you saw in August. Then you saw, wham, and it came right back. So everyone was bearish in August. I mean, these things happen, right? But this does look worse, right? This looks worse than here, I think, because of the daily chart. I think the daily chart is still saying be very aware of lower highs. I do not like red for the drawings, guys. That is sketch. We're gonna change this. All right, cool. It probably is, Jonathan. It probably is, Jonathan. That's the funny part. Jonathan, it probably is. Bullish. Just saying. It probably is. But we understand how retail hour works, right? Jonathan, I think the data is good, and we're still going to follow the signals, okay? And we will look at the QQQ. We'll actually do this while talking, showing off the QQQ daily expected moves. Something key here is, 1, haven't even crossed over the MACD. 2, you just got pretty good data. Now we have to see how people react to that data. 3, you left behind a small gap for the Qs. Interesting. But 4, you are in retail hour. So would they want retail to be able to participate in a great squeeze that goes to the upside forever? Or maybe even goes to new all-time highs, maybe goes to a price point of about 600 for the SPY. Do you think they want retail in that? Or do you think they want retail to get nice and bearish? Nice and bearish. And then make those big bets down here, saying we're collapsing, saying we're taking out the low, then it turns back around. This is more of one of those times where if you're approaching that low, all I'm thinking is, has Wall Street's goal been achieved? Have they done what they've tried to accomplish in these areas? Right? They probably were like, hey, we want to see Trump tariffs, probably a bad thing for the market, sends it low. And then once they realize, oh, this probably ain't going to be a big deal. Hard not to believe that's going to happen, because it happens all the time, especially if you've been a part of this channel. We've seen it happen. You know, how many times in this channel have we been like, man, look at that 30 minutes, real curvy by the center line. It's probably going to fake the bears out and then whip back around. The first reaction in the morning, this is why big money makes decisions at the end of the day. This is why 30 to 40% of the entire volume for a trading day comes in the last hour of the day. It's because people want retail losing their minds and day traders losing their minds. But after the day traders are done and taking profit and their money's out at the end of the day, then we can look at stuff and make decisions, and I think that's what big money likes to do. Yeah, JP Morgan got a little cooked there, didn't it? Damn. Downside, downside, downside. That's not a good look. But that one was a management of the trade. I mean, I held on to it for a second to see, but thankfully, had to get out. What if I ask percentage of cash you are sitting on? 80%. Gotta pull this up too. But about 80% is in cash. I've only been doing option plays for pretty much all of 2024. I think it was a decent option market for the last bit of time. Now it does fluctuate a little bit, because sometimes I use a little 5% for like, if I want to, I don't know, buy some GME with good amount, but I haven't had to do that yet. I've always had this little 5% on the side, like in case I want to buy more, like a big chunk more of AMC or GME. I just always think my wife will hurt me. Yeah, I think these times you got to be aware of the risk. 1 TTE short call campaign on SPY leaps. Made a killing, but scary. That sounds scary. Made a great point based off of data last night. Historically, tops in the SPY have only happened once since its existence. Most tops are November to January, so recovery based on probabilities leads to all-time highs. Okay, and maybe that's why I'm getting that gut feeling. You know, maybe that's why my gut's going, you know, my management of risk, my trader side, my skills, my habits, they're all telling me to look for lower high on the daily chart, but there's just this little thing chirping in my ear going, man, maybe you should watch for all-time highs. I mean, 620, 630, still very possible. Yeah, and the thing is, with these type of moves, okay, I've seen these before. Okay, stop scrolling, mouse. I've seen these before, and I wouldn't be surprised if this thing snaps back to 250 by the end of March. That's what I would say. You know, in the next few weeks, snaps back to 250. I've seen it so many times, but I don't know if it's something I could, maybe it's a risk to reward play for a month. You know, I think if you have this 30-minute divergence, at least you have something. You might even have it right now, right? This might be enough. Potentially wanted to fill that gap though. Where is that gap? I mean, I know I'm doing it on a 30-minute chart, but it's way down there, isn't it? Yeah, it's way down to 221, so a few points left. But your percentages say you can see a snapback, but you are seeing something crazy, so it's a very risky one, right? This is kind of like the, what was it, Apple back in the day that we talked about, right? Remember, everything had reversal signals, but it was Apple right here that had the reversal signals that saw the big gap down, and we were mentioning how, hey, this is one of the riskier ones, and I think there's better options out there. Then Apple actually just completely vomited, and this reminds me of this time for JP Morgan, but you haven't even seen something like this yet. So I still think JP Morgan at least has something like that coming. But in these areas, this is kind of a similar standpoint, at least for what the stock is looking like right now. JP Morgan would be a risky one, but if it actually proved to be an opportunity, it probably has some of the best money to be made. It's just very difficult to time that position with an option. So you would more likely, you know, someone talking about leaps and stuff like that, or 2-month option, 3-month option, those would be probably pretty nice for JP Morgan. And then I myself in these times don't really use amounts of money that would really hurt my account. I just don't do it. I don't think I have risked more than $2,500 a week in the past maybe 18 months. 3 standard deviation, Samson. That's scary. I thought it was a meme. It's not. Did you know that GME actually has more cash than most stocks out there? They have no debt. Most stocks have debt. They have, what, 4.6 billion in cash? Most stocks do not have that big of a cash pile, at least in the GME realm. GME, though, making a 30-minute divergence, so, you know. Which way is it going to go today? Down, then up. I actually think this thing is very likely to squeeze in the next 30 days. So here's what I said on Twitter, if you want me to read it out real quick. I said, do this real quick here. Here's how I think AMC and GME pop off, okay? Here's how I think a short squeeze for AMC and or GME takes place in the next 30 days. SPY and the QQQ and most big and small cap stocks all show bear trap signals right now. A squeeze across the entire market can take place. Maybe it is one big bull trap, SPY crashes, and the memes continue to squeeze. That's how I see it happening. And the way that I know, is this going to happen in any way? Well, I got to see a daily chart confirm up. But now, you actually have gotten rid of the reversal signal for GME. So is AMC still holding it? Hell yeah. So I think I would more likely, if I was going to put money somewhere, I'd probably put some, you know, I have some here already. So I might take the option exposure in AMC if I see this daily chart curl up. And then I have little take profits, right? I have weekly expected moves, monthly expected moves, certain levels to really watch here, 550, 739, a big one. And then if you blow past that, I think you're going to see at least one of these wicks, maybe to $12 again. So, you know, those are probable things that can happen if you squeeze. But right now, it's just say, hey, I don't care if it builds up over time. Mainly just holding the stock, right? I just trade back and forth the option plays. Here we go. Oh my God, the roof is falling. And then we're gonna get some tariff news that's actually good. And I will put this here, GME. I will do that. We gotta put a little update there. Oh, Spy's looking sick. Oh my goodness. At the 5-day? That's crazy. It's almost like we talked about this 2 days ago. It's crazy. With PPI being so good, why is the market falling like this? Probably to trick retail. It's a retail hour. Big money ain't doing much moves right now. It's retail freaking out. Notice the volume's pretty low right now. We got 1 minute left, and that's all the volume you get for this big ass bar down. So people are just selling. The buys haven't come in. The buys probably come in at the end of the day. Any thoughts on the Googmeister? The Googmeister dropping off one more time. Look for that 30-minute divergence, right? So you had it, which is great. That does not mean it can't fail, right? That doesn't mean it has to go positive. So if this 30-minute drops, we want to pay attention to a couple things, right? Is it going to hold up better? That would be cool. Is it going to sweep the low, come down to these areas, and then curl back up and give you that divergence even more significant by the center line? Just tell me right now that if this failed right here and went down to these levels, that you wouldn't be excited if you saw a divergence right there confirm. Just tell me right now you wouldn't be excited about that. As of right now, the 2-hour has confirmed for Google, and the 2-hour is showing dramatic divergence here, starting to curl back down. I don't think you necessarily want that to happen. But it can happen, right? It can. It's just I don't want to be in calls while that's turned down. I need to see that thing turn back up. Then I can make that decision again, right? So this is almost like the first management of the trade. This is why I put out that video 2 days ago discussing how on the SPY, and we just said, hey, pretty much every stock, you can pay attention to the same thing. If the 30-minute crosses by the center line, that's a bad thing. Has it crossed yet? No. But maybe this is enough to scare me out, right? This isn't necessarily a great bar. As we look at this, still kind of holding. We'll see. Got to see a close above 561.67, and then a close below here. Probably not the best sign. Had a great time. They stood at the 0 degree. We still have family that lives there, which they live in some crazy conditions, and but they just love it. Sean, I can't really tell you that, right? It's all about decision making based on what you're trying to accomplish, right? So, I mean, I would say this. If I'm really worried about this drop right now, I think that makes sense. I think it's fine. I think it's fine to be worried about it. This is crossing down. If this crosses down here, yeah, TQQQ can head lower. But I would be paying attention to TQQQ once we're down in these levels, and we're already down in those levels. A lot of the time in the market, you'll realize that the first reaction is not the right reaction. Volatility might give us a little hint here and just curl down on it. I mean, I'm not seeing volatility pick up. If it curls up on a 2-hour, we should be worried, but it's not. So we can take our time with it. Not the best close, but we did try to make this a higher low. Gotta love retail shorting at the lows. Yeah, we'll see how this thing pops up, right? Looks like as of now, sitting in the middle. We still haven't seen, at least from the PCC, the CPC, I am not seeing us get those very bearish readings. So Very interesting to be dropping this low to see that put volume, but not really see it in the CPC. Yeah, Robert, and that's what I was looking at. I was looking at that 5-minute actually. So there is a 5-minute divergence on volatility on the VIX, but the VIX itself is like, okay, if that curls up on a 2-hour, this is how we treat it. This is how we, and actually we've said this before. This has happened before. I know it because I'm having deja vu. We've said this before at these times where the bottom's starting to form, but it's like, hey, we're at a risky level. If we do see another volatility pump here, okay, here's when things get bad. You start to see this get above these levels. You start to see this print 30 and not be able to reverse back down. That's when you know this is going to get really bad. So that would mean, when would that have a probability to happen? When the 2-hour crosses up. So if the 2-hour crosses up now, that's a big issue, okay? That means we want to be very cautious, because if this fails here, you start to lose big chunks. You can head all the way down to that 540. You lose 540, maybe you break through and retest. But if you break through this, hey, you can go all the way down to 511, right? You can go down to these levels. So you want to treat it seriously, and volatility is a good thing to watch, right? But if these things are not going to happen, meaning the thing that most likely will happen is we're going to see some kind of pump to the upside. That's what the probabilities say, right? A crash is not going to be the most probable thing all the time. It really is almost never the most probable thing until you're in it. Swivel stick coming in with those little ghosties again. I'm shorting until we get a 50% correction. Oh, JP Morgan just saw some decent upside. I was kind of looking at that on my other screen. Outside of the weekly expected move, 30-minute divergence. Actually on the MACD at the same time now. I wonder if JP Morgan sees something. We'll see. Shorting until we get a 50% correction. How long out is your short? Wacky, do you mind me asking? I just wanted to see. It may be a bear trap. I think it is a bear trap. I think it is building and I think it's been a bear trap for a while. I think that these little bear traps are to get people nice and bearish, and then once the people see those basing out signals and they fail, everyone starts to go, oh my god, they're failing, we're crashing. And I just go, yeah, we'll see. I mean, signals will fail if you're going to crash. So I'm going to treat 30-minute curlovers very seriously. I'm going to treat, if the VIX turns up on the 2-hour, you're going to see me not hold, you're going to see me up probably almost 100% in cash. A 50% correction is a crash? Yes. Tesla has crashed. I see the price action as failure to go lower. Well, this wick is probably pretty important, right? Low on shorter time frames, higher low. So probably an important area, but on shorter time frames, you might be looking for this, right? But for now, now we're not crossing over. Look at that. All of a sudden. But it still can, right? We still know this could happen for a long time today. We could see this, we could see this, we could see this. So Microsoft hanging in there. Let's go look at Microsoft. I really like the Microsoft signal. The 30-minute trying. Oh, it's trying its best here for the spot. Let's go look at Microsoft. Microsoft holding up really well. Once again, you're still aware. Look at the 30-minute. Very obvious. This should be very obvious managements of trades if they have to happen. And we don't want to be a part of this if this is going to go down to like 374 or something like that. We don't want to be a part of it there. We want to be looking at 374 for that bounce up. Maybe scaling in. Like, I wouldn't hate on people. It's a 30-minute that could see the react. I wouldn't hate if people scale in. I would just say, just in case, it's just the environment we're in now. Is you're seeing like JP Morgan making the big move down. Okay, so it's at vulnerable levels. It already was. Yeah, it's like if it's down, I don't want to be a part of it. But if it starts to reverse back up with a good reversal signal today, aka Microsoft 2 hour already confirmed, I'm potentially right, already in this. I mean, unfortunately, I took the Amazon play. But I'll be still watching this, and maybe Amazon's just giving me that little fake out right now. So 30 minutes still positive, just a risky, still pretty by the center line. It's always the one I don't take. Meta, very nice. I'd like Meta not to go negative here. I do not want Meta to go negative. But Microsoft, yeah, the 30-minute, it's not even crossing down yet. So we got to see if we can take back the 5, right? Ultimately, a lot of this comes down to that, too. We got to take back the 5. You want to know if you're having good potential to go into a positive trend? Well, get above the 5, right? If you fail that, back into that negative trend. Notice bounce up, react off the 5, bounce back, go back down. So we need to take that back pretty confidently. For Microsoft, I'm just paying attention to the fact that potentially could already be in the trade, right? Might switch it to Microsoft. We'll see. I got to see how I think about this. I might do it. I might give it some time, make a decision at the end of the day as far as that goes. But this right here, what am I looking for? Well, I'm just seeing if that rejects off the 5 or takes back the 5. Because if it rejects off the 5 and makes a divergence, that might be a great opportunity. But if it rejects off the 5, I don't want to be in calls just yet. I want to see that buy come in. If we just take back the 5, I would really like that. What you're probably looking for here is another big reaction to here. Come back down in this zone, right? How do we break out of zones? We break through it, retest in it, and then see the next upward move. So I think this would be a good way for Microsoft to head higher, is get to that price point of about 400 and then see a little pullback. VIX going down. Well, yeah, because it's way more likely we see upside than downside as far as the 2 weeks out or a month out goes. Hey, Nick, you said it, not me. Everything's doing the fake out. Kind of seems that way. Apple looking bouncy. I just have to keep looking at Apple. It has the divergences. It's getting tight, right? You can always, I don't use Bollinger Bands for like shorter time frames usually, but I might throw it on there. Just see how expanded this was, right? And now it's getting really tight. So I just think people are going to get smacked in the head if they, at least big bearish bets I think might get smacked. Now, we do get more data tomorrow. JP Morgan, actually, very interesting that we talked about it this morning. We're like, this is bad. You don't want this to happen. But you know you do want to happen? This to curl up and take back that 5. Now it's like right when we're like, man, this thing is shit. And then it turns up, takes back the 5 with a 30-minute divergence. That's the most significant thing I've ever seen. But you see how significant that can be now. That also means if it doesn't confirm, you can keep dropping. So very rough for JP Morgan, but interesting look. Outside of a what, Patreon members? Outside of what, Patreon? Okay, outside of a weekly expected move. So now we can always use that monthly expected move way up in these areas as resistance. So we'll see if that's going to take place, but weekly and monthly. Yeah, it's just you're really far away from the monthly, so I don't really with the monthly, and you were pointing out that that's almost a 3 standard deviation move. Really with that, you're going to need to see a big-ass snapback. Palantir 80 call to go back up. Well, let's go look at it, and maybe we can make you feel a little bit better. Okay, Palantir is some of the best signals that we've seen on the 2-hour chart. It really is. I mean, these are some of the best divergences you're going to see. Obviously, they have fake outs in them, so hopefully we're managing risk at these times. But now that triple dip comes down in and it confirms, and unless this 2-hour curls back down, I'm not really bearish on it. I mean, Palantir as well, you have to understand the positioning right now. Where is it at according to the weekly or even monthly expected moves? We look over at Palantir, we see, okay, we're not at a monthly expected move. So if this 2-hour turns down, I think it was Tyler, right? Let me see. So if this 2-hour turns down, Tyler, you could head all the way down to like this low. you could head further down and potentially come fill this gap towards $65. Ew. So if the 2-hour drops down, bad. But right now it's not dropping down. So we have to, or right now it hasn't crossed down. That's the best way to put it. Now the 30-minute has crossed down. So if I'm someone who's trying to really trade like water, I could maybe have my risk on, my risk meter going and go, hey, do I want to be in this while the 30-minute is losing the 5? Or does this look like it's pretty positive, maybe going to fill that gap and turn back around? And maybe I could wait till this low is cut before I actually make a decision with that. And the other thing is, if this is going to do this, we still want to watch out for things, man. But I think Palantir, I think the 2-hour just looks so good. I mean, you do not see divergences this good all the time. And so the daily scale can start to turn up soon. And I think what you're going to see is maybe look at this by the end of the day and see if those buys come in, see if another fake out still happens for the SPY to the downside. You have the signals for a good setup, man. You really do, Tyler. But that doesn't mean there aren't risks. And that's just the truth of it. It's unfortunate, but we're going to take it day by day, right? We're going to watch the price action day by day and be talking about risk. Nick likes Disney. Nick likes Dis. So you want to be aware of Disney not even getting reactions to the 5, right? Just collapsing. So this thing is just coming down, 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 down. Not a great sign, right? Not a great sign. 2-hour, really freaking deep, but we did leave a gap behind. So I would look for this 103 probably going to happen soon, but notice where we're at. Gap support might come in. We're starting to build a little liquidity in this area, see if we can get a reaction, but you just want to be very open because the signals aren't very good here. To even if you do get a 30-minute move, that could drop down and fill this gap down here. Even if you get the 2-hour move, that could reject down and fill that gap later on, and we could see something like this. We could still see this in the SPY. Now, why do I believe we could see something like that in the SPY? Well, one, the way that the MACD really looks here, looks like, hey, we could get that move, and then that move could fail, right? We could get some kind of 2-hour move that could fail. That standpoint is there just because we don't, and in my mind, we don't have the people making those super bearish bets, at least proven in the PCC or the CPC. We don't see that. So I'm going to be very aware that this can still happen. Because we're below the monthly, we can use it as resistance. We'll see. I think that's why you kind of want, going into Friday, you kind of want to see this go up and then see really tight ranges or something like that, and then see something crazy. Hopefully it's to the upside. Google, we did just looking out for a 30-minute divergence. If it drops, that would be the management of the trade. Talked about a couple days ago. So we were aware of this. And then the other thing is the 2-hour divergence looks so good that it's confirmed. Right? Quick look, quick look, because we've looked at it a few times. Google, 2-hour divergence, very simple. 2-hour drops, don't really like that, right? We don't really like that. 30-minute is crossing over by the center line. It might be a management of the trade if this is a negative bar in the next 15 minutes, right? And we see how that could easily do this. And that could get really ugly. Unless it's a trick. And then you can see that confirm and be like, hey, this is likely to be a trick. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Looking over at DJT, we got this. That's curling up to the 5, and we could see another drop, right? We do have a gap right here. See if that's able to fill, maybe create some kind of big divergence, right? Holding the tapering. Almost. Close. 2-hour divergence has confirmed. Right? So the only thing I'm really scared of is if that 30-minute rejects, I don't want to be in it, but I think we're close to seeing a bottom, and look where it is. Maybe in our buy zone. Very nice. DJT looks like, hey, that might rip. We'll see. 30-minute crosses down, kind of hard for that 2-hour to go up, right? Now what you're hoping here is this is not the case, right? You're hoping this isn't continuation and then you drop down and it goes down further and you kind of violate the divergence. I don't think you would like that. But that's not happening yet. We'll talk about that once we see more price action. You're awesome. Hey, thank you. Thank you for commenting. Sorry to go over it very quickly. You might have to kind of click through back a little bit, but we did go over Google for a solid couple of minutes there a little bit ago. VIX going down. I hope. Sorry, trans Snow White. Anyone that's in it for Nvidia? Nvidia's pretty nice here. Technically, you might be at your first take profit, like now. We were paying attention to this gap. So we really want to see, right? This could be the first real level where you see that 30-minute pullback, right? We left behind a gap, so you always want to be open to this type of thing happening, right? A 30-minute pullback, but it's very positive and it's not even overbought, so this doesn't have to pull back. It can create this, and then maybe it breaks out, retest. That would be nice. But just be aware that that gap is there and a 30-minute pullback can happen. As of right now, the 2-hour has confirmed divergence. Remember, triple divergence at the low. This is why we were talking about it in our buy zone, right? I didn't even move the zone. I just ended up getting there. Daily scale, really hard to see because the MACD isn't really showing it. The RSI is starting to be very, just flat, if not slightly down. So this actually, the way that this has developed, has started to even add more credibility to potential lower high. So if you want NVIDIA to be positive, I think you need a solid reaction to at least come up to this area, 143.50, then see that pull back on a 2-hour and not curl back down this daily chart. I don't want to curl down that daily chart right there. We'll see if the move's that big though. Like, I know I'm drawing it straight up. Hey guys, things chop around more than this. When I draw a line like this, don't expect that I'm thinking like, oh yeah, that's gonna happen, right? I'm thinking maybe it needs to build up over time, right? On the shorter time frames. But very nice, very positive, super positive, very nice. See, now I'm playing with JP Morgan again. I'm like, God dang it, do I try this? Do I try it again? That's the question. It's much cheaper now. Wait, who's the moon cycle guy? Nobody, wait, the moon cycle guy. Who was the moon cycle guy yesterday? Shoot. Sorry if I know you've probably been here for a bit, but someone's bringing up moon cycles. Who did it? Who brought up moon cycles yesterday? Because they never answered what the hell they're talking about. How about Google says VIX is negative. This QQQ negative is retail sell-off. Yeah, this, we still want to say, okay, as of right now, we're rejecting. It doesn't mean the next bar, we can't see that go down, okay? Okay, just keep it in mind. We're still below the 5. Until we're really taking back that 5 and getting past these levels, I'm not going to be unaware of some kind of drop coming. Bottoms reversals typically happen during the next full moon. We have one Friday. That's tomorrow. Oh yeah, and tomorrow, guys, as far as full moons go, we don't really put those pictures over on Patreon, but we do put daily expected moves for Fridays. I know a lot of people might show you full moons on Patreon or on other sites, but on our Patreon, we'll give you daily expected moves for every stock that we cover. So if you're looking for, hey, I have expiration on Friday and I have maybe calls or puts, you can actually get daily expected moves from us. The Patreon down in the description. There's a wait, really, Bernie? What time? Oh my gosh, I'm looking that up. I want to see it. Oh no, I have plans tomorrow. I'm playing in a pickleball tournament tomorrow. Blood moon arrives with the lunar eclipse. Oh, blood moon to be visible in Irish skies early on Friday. It kind of sees how to see the blood worm moon 2 days ago. My wife really likes moons. I do love a full moon. Oh, that's great. Oh, I love you guys. You guys are funny. Apple looks stronger. When? I just do not like this 2 hour. Like, Apple could do something crazy here. It would need to get all the way to like 241.50, and that's just... Okay, it's the moon phase indicator. You aren't from Seattle. Mr. Pickles is really good at pickleball. Is he really? I hope so. I'm really good at pickleball. All right, not anymore. I used to play pickleball like obsessively for a whole summer. I got really, really good. And then I dislocated my shoulder playing because, you know, it just, you know, every time I try to have fun with sports now, it's like, you know, I got about a 20% risk of dislocating my shoulder. It's just lame. Tesla could get to 258 by next week. Dubs, let's go look at Tesla because everyone hates on Tesla right now. Tesla getting a good reaction here. Maybe go to fill the gap. Look at how the 30-minute was able to go positive for Tesla. Tesla, very interesting here, still has 2 hour divergence. Very flat on the MACD. It's there on the RSI, right? So this is saying you are pretty much, I think you're potentially, maybe even today, right? It could be now. It could be, I would say, from now to 3 trading sessions, maybe 4 trading sessions from now, if we make the 2 hour divergence, you'll really look back on this and be like, oh shit, we're making a low. And maybe it's just these options need to expire tomorrow. Full moon bullish, new moon bearish. Really? TradingView has a moon cycle indicator. I'm gonna go look it up. Let's see it. Moon cycle. Wow, someone actually made a moon cycle. Which one do you use? I see this one from Insilico. Lunar cycles projected forward. I want to see this indicator you're talking about. I wonder what it looks like. This is just put a moon phases. Okay, I see it. Where's the indicator? Let's see here. Stability. Daily. Oh, there they are. Okay, interesting. Okay, so this is... What does the blue mean? I gotta read into the indicator for a second. Style, new moon is a blue circle above the bar. A full moon is a white circle below the bar. Interesting. Does it show up when the moon happens? Damn werewolves. How? Yeah. But it's very funny. It actually the full, well, it doesn't work perfectly all the time. It kind of shows you a general area where a potential pullback or top could happen. Yeah, it actually called, let's see, right here it posted. So this one here caught it within 3 weeks for a top. This one caught it within a day for that little bounce. Let's look at the SPY with this. This is super cool. Okay. Wow, okay, so where's SPY? Super interesting, okay. So it looks like you got new moon was here. And then there was a full moon here. This is funny. New moon here. And then I guess we're going to get a full moon down in here. So interesting. This full moon called a low, like almost exactly right on this day right here. But you did have a full moon right here. But one time it really got that wrong, and then the next one got it right. You had a full moon, looks like here. But you also had a new moon here. So, doesn't work all the time, but it's fun. We're going to the moon? Oh, wait. Okay. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Okay. Oh, perfect timing. Oh. Oh. I don't know. I just don't think you can read into it too much, but it is cool. Right. Cycles are based on months, which is pretty much based on the moon cycle. Oh, okay, that makes sense. I mean, I get it. I just don't know how I'd really like. I guess it would give you a general area to pay attention to structure, like around that timing, but that's all I could really see. Someone was mentioning something a second ago. NVIDIA is starting to run. There you go. Oh, nice break. Okay, good. Get above 119. Pretty good to get to 123. Let me look at weekly expected moves for this bad boy. Is that the correct moves? I feel like I update them on one chart and then I forget to on others. It's just so lame. Okay. So is this possible this week? Yes. Is this possible this week? This is where you would most likely see resistance come in if we got there. But if we're going to see this upside now, we could see something crazy next week or even going into tomorrow. But maybe tomorrow we hit 123.50 and start to curl down if we can hold that positivity. Still want to be aware if things cross down though. So good for NVIDIA. We like it. That's nice. Good job, NVIDIA. Hey, look at this guy. Hey, look at this guy. Hey, sometimes you're just really off on the timing. But still a very, very risky one in my book. But the riskiest ones, sometimes they have some good upside plays. So maybe I'll do a really position-sized, risk-managed trade there now. Unfortunate it went wrong. Let's see here. What else are you guys wanting to look at here? You'd read Cosmos and Psych. It explains planetary alignments and how they can be linked to historical events. It's very real. I might have to look into that. I'm kind of reading that, what is it? I'm reading The Psychology of Money right now. That book is a lot different than the last book I read, The Reaper. The Reaper was so much fun to read. I highly suggest if anyone wants to read something about, snipers in our military. Oh my goodness, The Reaper was such a good book. I really enjoyed it. So right now I'm focusing on that, but maybe I could look into a little bit of these Cosmos and Psych. You read Cosmos and Psych. That's crazy though. I've never been that type of dude though. I've never been any kind of into astrology. I just feel like white women ruined that for me. DAX, let's go look at DAX. DAX, we're looking if that's going to make that upward move, right? See this? We're kind of looking for some kind of almost like handle. But for now, if that 2 hour is going to show you anything, hey, if we take back the 5, always be aware the daily is still positive. We can always turn up again, okay? But I think for this time, the time being, if the 2 hour gets this move, you have to realize it's negative. There's not a lot of divergence. You left behind a gap. I don't know what these weird hiccups I'm doing are, but whatever. That one hurt. So if this 2 hour crosses up, right, if it just crosses up from here, this could be a simple A, B, C fail, right? We want to see if this creates that lower high. And then ultimately you want to see if you're able to really break below. I guess you have to take this point now because you're seeing these weird upper and lower, a little bit lower. So I think you're down in here and just saying 22.2K pretty much. You lose that and the gap fill doesn't hold you up, then you're probably going below this 200 on the 2 hour, which means the daily might go see a test of the 50. And that would be a great level. We can see a gap around that level. So right, we look at the 50 for like a general area. And then we look at price action. We go, okay, so we can pay attention to gap support. We can pay attention to the gap, right? We see a little zone right there. And then from that level, if you curl up, you would still be positive, most likely, right? We'll see if it's still pretty able to turn up and go positive again, but that's how I see it for the time being. JP Morgan straight up algo buying. That's nothing yet. But it is trying to confirm up. Now we need to see that price action get a good confirmation. But man, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about getting back in. I'm thinking about it. Am I crazy to be thinking about it? Koniko's based. I'm sorry, Top Synopsis. I'm glad we have that connection with Ecuadorians, but I just can't. The amount of times I've been at a bar talking to a girl, you know, back in college, I'm like, man, I'm super interested in this girl, and she says, "What's your sign?" There came a point, you guys, I was not like, if something is dumb to me, I usually just ignore it or walk away from it. And so I would have people ask me my sign, and they would just see me literally do a 180 and turn around and walk away. I'm like, if you're asking about sign, then you're not the type for me. Let's go look at SoFi, Chris, okay? Let's go look at that SoFi. Should we turn into a dating channel for a second? What's your sign? Screw you, Swivel Stick. You post a ghost right now, or else I'm banning you. Post a ghost immediately, or I'm banning you right now. No, I'm a Leo. So, and of course, as good Leos, you know, every single Leo has this. I have a Leo tattoo. I'm just kidding, Swivel Stick. I'm just playing with you, buddy. I like your little ghosties, though. Okay, so to look at SoFi, very, very cool here. So you are holding the divergence point. This looks like a JP Morgan. This looks like a SPY. This looks like the Qs, right? Where you violate the, you still hold one on the RSI. That's not really the best looking, but you're still holding it. So this might be a risk to reward play, and that might where you go into potential for position sizing and things like that, right? Anytime you're looking at a risk to reward play, kind of like a JP Morgan, right? When I'm looking at JP Morgan, I'm thinking of a risk to reward play for the most part, which means I don't want to risk a bunch of money, and I want to potentially use an amount of money that I wouldn't even care if we saw a big drop, right? So that's how I would look into it. SoFi might be one of those cases. Okay, the daily scale has gone pretty negative, so we are at the 200. We have a gap below us, and we're looking for potentially a lower high if this even turns back around. But you do have 2-hour divergence that says it's possible. You want to be aware if that's going to be more complex because you did leave a gap behind, okay? Be aware if the 2-hour, you know, turns up like it is, but notice it's far away from the center line. So you always invite, if this buying isn't very good, we go fill a gap, right? And then you see that turn back down, and maybe you get a double bottom or sweep the low a little bit. And maybe you don't, right? That's why we're aware of the risk of something turning down in these type of areas in this environment. You are below a lot of expected moves here for SoFi as well. So that's something I'd be aware of. But ultimately, if the daily is able to curl up after all those signals, even if it's more complex, maybe I got to manage a trade, blah, blah, blah. Well, what levels am I paying attention to? Very obviously, the first level to pay attention to is 1360. I think it's right here, 1342, 1360, right in this area would be very important. If you're just going to go a little bit higher, an area where you could go a little bit higher and make structure would actually be just right above you. It actually would be right in this block here. It would potentially be, I would probably say something like 1467, something in this area right here would be very interesting, because then on the shorter time frames you could see, oh, a massive move, 2-hour pullback, curls back up again. And then you would see this and you'd go, wow, that could be pretty bullish, right? So this is how I see it over time, but I think SoFi has signals that could reverse it around, but this is one that I want to be very aware, and pretty much all of them out there, but SoFi too, because it has that look like JP Morgan, I want to be very aware if this bottom becomes more complex. And if this bottom becomes more complex, it's very likely that we're probably seeing like the SPY's bottom become more complex. It already has been complex. I'm talking about it getting complex again, right? Getting another dip down. Are people really bearish? I still think we need to see that CPC higher. As far as Tesla goes, you're seeing good stuff, right? Tesla, you're still seeing good stuff. We've looked at that before. The 2 hours curling up, you got divergence there, and then you're just going, okay, 2-hour divergence. Need to keep in mind management of the trade because we're very deep on the MACD, but we have it on the RSI. We have it flat on the MACD. So if this 30-minute rotates down, it's not the best sign. I'm still below the 5. So that would be enough for potentially me to be convinced, like, hey, I might want to manage this in case we at least fill that gap and then turn back up. But just in case something really bad happens, because Tesla's been bad for a while, right? It's been bad. It's been pretty damn bad. I mean, really, look at this thing, man. You got to make sure you're trading like water when you're seeing a stock dropping. But is the dropping going to stop now? That's the thing. Like, that's what I'm kind of getting at. 55%. That is a crash, you know. This is how a crash looks. That's actually an aggressive crash. Did you know that? I think it's fun, Miles. I'm into moon cycles, but blood moon is a different thing. So we'll look at that in a second. Sorry, I don't know how to say your name, but we will look at SLRC in a moment here. What language is that? Cash on the side, baby. Now, here's the thing. This is actually how an aggressive crash looks, right? You're talking 85 days down 55%. That's an aggressive crash. It is. I would consider this crash, right? If you don't consider 55% crash, what the hell do you consider a crash at this point? But that's more so how a crash actually looks in regular times. More just big waves of downside with these pops that take a little bit of time. But 3 months, that's pretty aggressive. I have fun watching my portfolio swing day by day. I think a lot of people are in that I think a lot of people are at that point. And this is why I've more so been either trying to build position and manage my trade if something goes wrong, or pay attention to lower levels and just make sure that I have good reversal signals. If I need to manage trades, that's fine. I think the opportunity is here that I could manage like 5 trades and still make way more money than those managements take from me. I really think the signals here look insane. And the funny part is, so every once in a while, I'll go look at YouTubers that I respect. So last night was one of those times where I felt, hey, I kind of want to look at what some YouTubers I respect are saying. Most of them are highly encouraging their people to be aware of a reaction that could happen to the upside. And I'm like, okay, so they agree kind of with my thinking. All right, let's look at SLRC real quick. Japanese, I have a Japanese tattoo. It says just one drink. I'll show you it. I'll show you it sometime. Next time we do put the camera up. Again, another one with 30-minute that we got to be watching here, right? And you want to be aware, this could happen again, right? We see that could happen again. This doesn't have to make the divergence here. But everyone who thinks this is going to happen again, if it doesn't, and you do this, and you curl back up, everyone that thinks it's going down here will be taken way off guard. So just be watching for that reaction, but 30-minute by the center line. If that doesn't create a divergence, then you're probably seeing like an ABC move here. A big one. This is a 30-minute chart too. That's kind of crazy. 2 hour for the time being, turned over and went negative. Not a good sign. Daily divergence might be there. Daily double top is there. Rejection divergence though, so we'll pay attention to it, but this is going to take a while to pretend, like it's going to be hard to see confirmation for like the top, because the double top, because 1679, this is such a weird reaction here with earnings. So I think you're just going, hey, if this 30-minute makes a divergence, then we have the opportunity to turn up the 2 hour. 2 hour, you're looking for that to cross back above about $18 to see bullishness stand for a little while. I can't read kanji. That's actually pretty good. So my friends live in Japan, and so they were FaceTiming me, and I showed all their new Japanese friends my tattoo, and they all were cracking up. They thought it was the funniest thing, and I was like, awesome. That's my goal in life, is just to get people to crack up. Mainly in person. Here, we're trying to help people in the stock market, but I love being the goofy guy. When the bear market starts, the new moons pump and the full moons dump. All right, we're going to put it to the test. Should we test that theory? Let's test that theory while we watch the SPY do what the SPY want to do. Look at that, starting to curl down again. Let's test that theory. Let's put up moon phases here. Okay, let's see. He said, yeah, hopefully that's all right. SLRC, I don't know if that was like the best assessment, but it seemed really simple, but sometimes the simpler ones are the best. Test that theory with some money? No, thank you. Not till I research it for at least 2 months. Don't do that. Okay, let's see here. Okay, bear market. Let's go back to the bear market and see if this will catch those moons. Let's go see. Let's go see. Let's go see if we have moons at lows. So it is. What is it? One more time. I can trade based on the moon. Yeah, nobody cares about the sun apparently. Oh man, nobody cares about their sun. Oh, that's rude. All right. So what is it? When the bear market starts, the new moons pump and the full moons dump. I gotta read this again because I already forgot which one's full moon, which one's new. New moon is above the bar, full moon below the bar. Okay. So the new moons pump. So the above the bar pumps. Okay, we went to a bear market. New moon towards the top, new moon towards the top, new moon towards the top, new moon towards the top. That one was kind of by a bottom, but you only saw like a 2% reaction and then it fell again. New moon at a top, new moon at consolidation. At least the reactions made more sense here. It sounds like a fairy tale. Okay, and then full moon at a bottom. It doesn't catch the bottoms. It catches them either three. It looks like it catches them on average 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Looks like on average it catches them either 3 days after the bottom or 3 days before the bottom. And then some of them fail. You still have to pay attention to failures. But yeah, this one was 1, 2, 3, 4 days before the bottom. This was 3 days before the bottom. Actually, it caught a lot of bottom. Actually, it's kind of interesting. It kind of worked. I don't know how you'd take a position based on that. It might just be a time to pay attention, right? Look for that time if we go into a bear market, but we might leave that. Let's leave that on my other charts for fun. ABBV. ABV. All right, 30-minute real flat. No divergence at the high. Immediately you're going like this, right? You're building a lot in this area. And this is actually really nice to see this wick come in. This is really nice to see this wick come in, right? So very interesting. It means buyers might be stepping in still. What do we need to see though? 2 hour to cross up, and we're very, very happy. You have 2 hour divergence, so be very aware if the daily chart is crossing down. It is. Now, when the daily chart crosses down, that's a bad confirmation if it would cross like this, which means that 2 hour does have the opportunity to go do something like this. Remember Meta? This reminds me of Meta a little bit. This type of 2 hour move at the end here. The 2 hour could just see that quick little, get you real close to the center line. A lot of divergence here, but just now really starting to become significant. So we'll see if something like this happens. But you guys remember Meta. Meta just did this and then just fell completely. So yeah, daily's trying to cross over, not on a good confirmation. This means that daily pullback is very likely. Where would you pull back to? You'd first want to pay attention to this 205.85. And since there's 205 and it's $5 off from it, you probably want to pay attention to just that whole number of 200, which all of that takes place in this block right here. If it's going to get worse, you're probably paying attention to this little block in here. As you drag that across, you start to see there's some lows in there, possible supports coming in, trying to be support. So I think if you're going to get a small daily pullback to here, maybe you still want to pay attention for that upside move first, but here, turn back up, or here, turn back up, and then you'd watch out for actual divergence. There's no divergence here, so I think this is a very positive trend, and AbbVie most likely, even with a pullback, we'll see higher prices later. We'll see if things change, right? If this drops too much and then gets that lower high on the 2 hour, that can be a big problem. But yeah, it looks like from risk to reward perspective, risk, reward, that would be that little 2 hour move. Spy curl down yet? Come on, Spy. I want to have some fun today. Looking dummy. I just say that based on how much it's been going up. And yeah, that's about it. It's a positive trend, so you want to be very careful because that could just move sideways, right? Let's look at that. quick. Yeah, I'm gonna go over to the consumer. I'm gonna go over to the consumer sentiment real quick. I want to see the last time. Let's see. Looks like got that on 2-314 is the next one. 2-21. February. Oh, well, if you're talking about this moment here, are you talking about the 21st of February? I'm bullish-ish. I like that. KGB, just wondering, are you paying attention to February 21st reading the last time? Elon and Doge news just came out. I will go check, but I'd like to see what you think. Let's just type this. Usually if you type Doge, there's a bunch of people angry posting stuff, so. The beginning of the bear trend. Okay, so something I want to be clear with here, KGB, and we can still potentially see that, right? We'll see 30-minute cross, a 2-hour cross. Something bad will show us in the momentum. But for the time being, the state of the market here was much different than the state of the market here. Much, much different. Now, 2-7. 2-7 as well. 2-7 as well saw a downside move and then didn't really see too much bad things, but right here you also had that reading come out. So yeah, just the state of the market right now is in completely different conditions than here, or sorry, than here and here. So I just want to be aware of that. And the reading itself expected to come down pretty low here. So the reading itself, 64.7 was the previous. Obviously, the previous coming in there. 63.1, 63.2. It's crazy that these numbers were lower, right? So that's why people didn't like them. But now we could see it getting smaller. The difference could get a lot smaller, right? 71.1 to 67.8, pretty big. 71.1, why was that? Oh, these are multiple readings, but 71.1 to 64.7 is a big drop. So you can understand why that was overall bad. But now your previous was 64.7. This is what you're expecting. Well, now you're just expecting 63.2. This could come in at 63.2, and people might read into that all right. It might even, maybe it even, no, I don't know if it would read in higher. We'll have to see about that. Definitely won't read in higher, right? Oh my goodness. It's just how much though, because okay, it's kind of like the same thing as the stock market, right? So we pay attention to divergence. What is that? That's the slowing of momentum. So if consumer sentiment has a big drop, and then it goes like this, and then another big drop, and then it goes like this, and then it gets a smaller drop, and then it goes like this, and then it gets a smaller drop, right? That's all I'm talking about. And I'm mainly talking about this because of the state of the market right now. We're at a completely different state of the market than we were up here. What do you think, KGB, though? I want to know. It's just a catalyst to exploit fear. And maybe that's that 2-hour drop, too, right? Maybe that's that 2-hour drop. What time does that come out as well? That comes out... Oh, that comes out after the market opens. It'd be interesting. We'll see. I'm interested in the 5-year inflation expectations with the inflation data we just got. No, there's no streaming delay, or at least there shouldn't be. There might be a slight one, like a few seconds, but that's just a natural one. I try to keep it on as low. I don't remember what it's called, not frequency, but latency. I try to keep it low, ultra low latency is what I use, so we can see things in real time, Karth. Is your chat real time? And it is real time. Everything's real time. I like the real time. You can always tell if it's real time, by the way, down in here. Just look if this ever says RTH. Extended's always going to say extended, right? So. And the thing is, the reason I don't use extended, because if I want to get things extended, I'm just going to look here for 2 hours, right? I'm just going to look here instead. And this is where if I look at a 4 hour, I'm probably going to see those similar divergences down here, very flat. But notice it's not good. So, you know, the futures are more leaning towards this happening. The futures are, but a lot of stocks within the market are not leaning towards that. That's why I'm aware. I'm just like, I'm going to potentially take this upside move. Okay, awesome. I'm going to give it a go. Maybe try that with something like Amazon. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. It is turning back around. I'm so sick of managing trades over the last few days. I'm so sick of it. I'm like, now I'm to the point where I'm like, let me just extend out the option and sit. I'm just going to sit and use an amount of money I'm willing to lose, because I'm like, if a squeeze happens, I'm just going to hold on to the bad boy at this point. That's my trade. That's how I'm going to trade this as of right now. But for the time being, I want to be very aware that 2 hours can still make that complex bottom again, right? I want to be very aware of that. It can happen. Yeah, and then right here. Small risk for Tesla calls worth it. Well, let's just talk about risk to reward with Tesla. Let's talk about this from a daily perspective, okay? So if I look at this from a daily perspective and I'm like, hey, maybe I want to take a Tesla call or a Tesla put, right, for the next 30 days, right? Either way. Well, we still want to understand that this thing has gone down 55%. Relief rallies can come. We haven't really gotten a big relief rally out of this. And you have 2 hour signals suggesting that you actually can get that relief soon. So from a risk to reward perspective, taking a month or 2 month out position, say mid-April, right? Well, that would tell me that my risk is that gap fill. My risk is we go lower. My risk is we go down to these type of areas right now, according to my Bollinger Bands. The reward is potentially all the way back up to 375, potentially, I would say, in the next 1 to 2 months. Now, the price action can change, and this all can change within a couple of days. But as of right now, that looks like the risk to reward. So if we came and cut this low, I might potentially be out, right? And this is I might be like, stop, okay, we see another reversal, okay, I'm back in for another month. Or I might just say, hey, I'm gonna use an amount of money that I'm willing to hold on to and not really care about if I lose, right? A lot of that is risk to reward type plays, but this actually has a signal behind it. So, you know, this isn't like questionable, right? We're not only looking at this from a risk to reward standpoint. I'm just saying to myself, if I look at this, because it's gone down so much, I need to look at it from a risk to reward standpoint with my position size. But for the time being, you do have a 2 hour reversal signal that has confirmed, right? If we get a 30-minute pullback, that's fine. Maybe I even waited because of the gap, right? Maybe I waited to see what we would do at the 5-day moving average because it was a gap, and maybe I didn't want to make a hasty decision. So I go, let me just see if that 30-minute pulls back. Hey, the 30-minute has pulled back. Or maybe it's like, hey, one position, pull back, see that bounce back up, new position. And then I just say, okay, and if an hourly chart turns down, I'll be out of the play. Maybe that's my management of risk. This is just planning a trade and planning if that trade goes wrong. And I think this is how I would overall look into it, but I'd make sure to do extended hours and mostly treat it like a risk to reward perspective. Yeah, I'll pay you later, Sid. Yeah, well, oh God, guys, it's okay. Willow's buying puts now. So Tesla's gonna go up. No, that's not. I wish it worked like that, Willow. We would all follow your YouTube and donate to your channel. All right, we'd all be members on your YouTube channel, and it would be called Opposite Trades. Gold heading for 3,000, and I think that's something you can look at right now. GLD, there you go. We were kind of calling this Very, very nice. I was ultimately saying I still think this thing gets to 3,000, but very good trade setup in here. Very good trade setup in here. So thank you, GLD, for the trade setup. It was fantastic. Now the daily's turning up. So we want to be very aware of a 3,000 trap. You want this to blow through, or at least be able to hold up. Even if you make divergence, you want that to be able to hold up. So for the time being, you're getting a big move. If that daily creates a divergence above 3,000, you need to watch out. The 2 hour here is extremely positive. The 4 hour is extremely positive since this is futures, right? So if the 4 hour is going positive, then we might have a lot of time at 3,000. We might see the resistance come in just above 3,000. We come back down for the retest, then we go up again, and then this is what we'll be watching for if there's some kind of trap that might be forming. That M means pay attention to me or else you might get mad. Pay attention to me or you might get mad. That's what that M means right there. That's what those M's mean. You're saying JP Morgan? Ah, frickin' JP Morgan. JP Morgan green on the day? No, it's red right now. Of course it's gonna. Glad I didn't YOLO into that again yet. Might have to. I think Palantir looks great. Maybe I should be looking at Palantir more. You're right. See, you guys keep me humble. You keep me good. Yeah, we've looked at Tesla a few times. Tesla, we actually just did, Alex. Alex, go back literally like 4 minutes, maybe. Literally in the last 5 minutes we talked about Tesla, I feel like. So the main thing there is just going to be, Alex, 2 hour divergence is there. You actually have a reversal signal. It can fail, so make sure that we just kind of plan out the trade. So if you go back 4 minutes, we kind of talk about it. Yeah, oops, sorry, I punched the mic. Yeah, let's go look at Adobe. Oh my God, guys, hold on. Before we do this assessment on Adobe on the daily scale, I gotta drink my coffee. It's starting to get cool. I haven't drank like any of my coffee. Give me a sec. And Alex might be looking at that. I'm gonna say it in a second, but hey guys, if Alex comes back in, just make sure he knows if he has any further questions to say it in the chat. So no name, by the way, that question also for Tesla, is the small risk for Tesla calls worth it? That's going to be on obviously a trader by trader basis, right? But for the time being, it looks like the reward to the upside is bigger than the risk to the downside. That does not mean it cannot fail, right? So have a plan. And that's why we kind of went over Tesla a second ago. Adobe, you're just seeing an earnings drop. This should not be surprising according to the indicators, but once again, the indicators before, we try not to read into it and say like, oh, the indicators got this right. The reason we don't do that around earnings is because earnings is a 50-50 flip, and that easily could have seen a big gap up, even with this signal turning down and rejecting at that center line, right? It could have easily ended up being up. So we don't really want to look back on this and be like, oh, what can we figure out? How did this move happen and how could we be a part of the next one? The reason we don't want to do that for this particular stock at this moment is because of that E down there. It's pretty rare to see a stock just build up for a moment and then crash for whatever reason. It really is pretty rare. Right? You might look back and think of the bank crashes and things like that, where something went down 60%. It's very, very rare to see those moments. It's even rare to see moments like this where you're down 12%, right? Without earnings. With earnings, it makes total sense. Without earnings, it's a little bit rare. Yeah, see, I don't like the fact that it left gaps either, Dubs. That's why I'm going to be very aware of 30-minute pullbacks. QMCO for the long term. Is this just really cheap because it's quantum? I mean, long term, you're loving the level. You're loving the level. I mean, this is where a lot of rejection comes in and it can become support. I don't think you hate this level. So for investment, if you've done your research on the fundamental side for this, I ain't going to disagree with you if you've done that. right? If you do your research for an investment and then you're seeing signals at a 200 that suggest, hey, we have major 2-hour divergence, and that confirms, like, this is one we can read into. There's no E here, and we saw that confirmation at about 11:23, and now it's at 14. This makes total sense. So the daily could get going here as long as that 2-hour remains positive, but you want to be aware the daily's negative. So lower high, very likely. Where would that lower high come in? The most likely area, I would say, is this about $20. Fill the gap and open instead of just consolidating. Exactly, Sud. And that's why NVIDIA, I'm a little bit worried about it. But yeah, I wouldn't, quantum, I think as long as you're doing your research into quantum in general, and then you're looking at those companies, I don't think it's like a bad thing to think about investing in some quantum stocks. You just got to do a little bit of homework. And I think you had a 2-hour signal that said, hey, you can get a daily reaction here. So you were at a support level, you're at a big accumulation level. I actually don't know, Dubs. Let me look it up for you real quick, but give me one moment here for NVIDIA. This is what we were talking about, though. Remember when we were talking about the best thing NVIDIA could do is get to something like 119, or at least fill this freaking gap. Dude, fill this gap. We filled it. Okay, now get retail nice and bearish, maybe quickly towards the end, like into the end of the day, and then we'll see if this thing can whip back up. But doesn't have to stop. It's actually getting some good things, so we're getting those wicks to still come in, which is unfortunate. The only time I'd really be worried about cutting this low is if like an hourly chart curled down, or more so even a 2-hour chart curled down, and that would take a lot of time. So this one most likely a little bit difficult to manage risk because the 30 minutes so positive. So anything that goes down from here, you're above the 5. Unless you start to really lose the 5 confidently, I wouldn't be the most bearish on NVIDIA. Which stock has the best looking chart? Ooh, that's a good question. It's kind of hard. It might be Google. It might. Is it Google or Amazon? Amazon with the higher low, or Google with the higher low would be amazing. This would be amazing. So the reason I'm looking at Google and Amazon are just because of 2-hour signals. It's so significant that it's crazy. Weirdly enough, and I know this is crazy, if you're just talking about looks, not necessarily performance over time, what sees bad reactions even with good signals, weirdly enough, AMD is the most significant divergence right here. It's kind of crazy, but AMD has the most significant divergence, I think. All right, I'd have to look through for a bit of time, which I don't want to do that for 30 minutes here. Or do you expect movements in both directions? Well, volatility is still escalating, right? So, or volatility is still at higher levels. It's holding at higher levels. So you have to, as a trader, be aware of both directions, and you have to be aware you're going to get some rip around behavior, right? So for the time being, though, this is why we want to pay attention, because AMD, it's a crazy, crazy signal. It looks like a double bottom. It looks like we can get up to like 110 soon. I really want to pay attention to the bottom eye zone. 107.50 was that support that came in that we broke and then flushed a little bit. So these areas here, but this is kind of stating the daily can cross and we could potentially get to 116. And I think that's very cool for AMD. I just have taken plays with AMD too often and they have failed, that I see this, I see how good it looks, and I just go, shoot, what's the best way to put it? AMD has had great signals like this before and failed them over and over and over again. Now, sometimes you still were able to make money out of those plays, but I like to make more than little 10 and 20%. And AMD, by the time I had to manage risk, maybe it was a 10% gain, a 20% gain, or a 10% loss, right? So for AMD, I think this is the best looking signal. For what I'm looking at now, I would need a solid 30 minutes to really look into it. What was another one that I was looking at? Palantir was good. Trying to think of one that I was looking at. Was it Mags? No, Mags had the same look as the SPY. See, Mags is filling the gap. That's nice. I really don't want Nvidia to leave behind that gap. I think you're inviting that squeeze moment, and then you could just drop back down. I don't really like that. Oh, you meant for Nvidia. Okay. Let's see. So I don't know if that was exactly the most... Wait, who asked that? Mr. Watson. I don't know if that was like the exact most helpful thing. The reason that it's not the most helpful thing is I think AMD looks really, really good, but over the past over 12 months, AMD has been a little bit difficult, right? We've seen some decent trades at times, but we've seen decent setups so many times with AMD that just fail and fail and fail. So it's like, that's the best looking one. Other than that, I'd be looking at like Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon. I think Amazon's still a good one. I still like this one. I still like this one because it's held every one. So if I was going to take a trade, and maybe I already have, wink, wink, Amazon and Meta, Microsoft, Google are the ones that I'd really be watching, and previously Nvidia, but I decided not to take Nvidia. I wanted to see if Amazon would do something crazy here, because I think Amazon's possibly going to get a reaction all the way to 232 at the end of this, so we'll see. That's going to take some time, could take a couple of months, but Amazon, the reason these are so good isn't necessarily the MACD, it's just the RSI, man. Look at that RSI, it's crazy. We're not safe. You're never safe if the 30-minute is crossed down. In this environment, you're not safe if this 30-minute is crossing down here. And it looks like we are, right? We just crossed down. That would mean if I have SPY calls, right? What is this equivalent to? I guess, right? So let's go back for a second here. This is equivalent to here. This is equivalent to here. So what you're hoping is this curls down, but not really hoping, right? Because if this crosses down, I don't want to be very bullish just yet. And then it crossed back up and it gave us another fake out and crossed back down. This is when I definitely don't want to be bullish, right? ABC moves. But for the time being, I think you're at this type of scenario where you have kind of a reversal signal that doesn't have the best on the 30-minute. And so you can see another drop here. So pretty much I think you're at that time right now, and you could see that big drop. We can get a big drop, but I think something that would really fake people out is we see a big drop that people get really scared of, and then we just do that, and you start to make decisions in here, right? Because that would do this, kind of similar to right here, right there. And notice that bullishness that tried to come in after that. Gap down the next day, right? This is why it's very important to take back the 5. It's very important to make sure you have a plan for if things go wrong, but that would be a crazy good signal. And actually, if this would happen on the 30-minute, the SPY would be a very good 30-minute trade looking. Good looking 30-minute trade, my gosh. Gmail guy, welcome and thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate you being here. Neil and Peach Trader actually subscribed as well earlier yesterday, so thank you guys for joining us. Bears are persistent. Actually, did we get the new... When does the new survey come out? I don't know the timing. It's got to be end of day, right? And let's see, 312. What's right there? Okay, so you do have your next little point here. Bearishness actually did pick up a little bit. Neutral went down. Bullishness went down. So once again, people would be caught very off guard if we see upside moves. So be paying attention to reversal signals, and that's it. And then we just manage trades. It's actually pretty simple. It's just like, if we take this for what it is, like let's delete everything. Let's delete all of this, all right? Delete, 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 okay? If we're at a weekly expected move and we see a 30-minute divergence, what is likely to happen? If that confirms, what is likely to happen? Right, 68% zone, 30-minute divergence going into Friday. This is likely to happen. if we get that light confirmation, it's likely to see that 2-hour scale up. If we just take out all of the things that are making us so damn bearish and just look at this from a week-to-week standpoint, say last week, something crazy happened. This week, something crazy is happening, right? Something crazy happened last week, something crazy is happening this week. But is that craziness causing people to lose their mind outside of the weekly expected move? Do we have bearish sentiment out there at a time where we could see a big reaction to the upside? I think you do. I think you do. You just don't see that in the CPC or PCC very much, which is interesting to me. But a lot of people have those bearish sentiment out there. That's how I'd overall put it. But the put volume's high. You have a reversal signal. If you take away everything that's happened and treat this as a week by week kind of thing, okay, then you're going, we experienced something crazy. We're outside of the weekly expected move with a 30-minute divergence. Oh my goodness, wait a second. We also have a 2-hour divergence on the RSI. It's not on the MACD at the same time. So I want to be aware if this move is kind of lackluster and then maybe rejects off of the monthly, right? That would be bad, and that would be very bad. I'm not leaning towards that, really. I'm really not. I think if you're going to get that 2-hour to do it, it's going to be pretty quick. But we'll see. But if we take this from a week-by-week standpoint using our weekly expected moves, we're going, okay, what are we seeing? Well, if I see a divergence or a higher low outside of a weekly expected move, then it's very likely with a 68% chance that we are going to end the week back in these moves. And then we take into consideration the monthly move, and we say, well, we're outside of the monthly move, creating 30-minute and 2-hour signals. So it's very likely that we end up in the 68% zone. Literally could end up here and not, it would be expected. This, unexpected. This is expected still. So if we take it week by week, I think it just clears it up for us as traders. This is, for me, it's like a weekly or a monthly game, right? If you trade one trade a week kind of deal. Just had to manage a lot lately. Let's do this. Let's start the, oh, let me read in a sec. Okay, Gavinover. Give me 1 second. Let's do this poll again. Do our daily poll. Yeah, Mr. Watson, and that's just more. So AMD for me, Mr. Watson, is more of a comfort behind the trade type of thing. I'm very comfortable in the last year trading things like Microsoft, like Google, like Apple, like Amazon, like Meta. Those ones I had very comfortable trades. You know, a couple times had to manage risk, but overall comfortable trades. Also, this looks like an ABC move. Why is this still red? Oh, that's for my other lines. Never mind. We'll leave that for now. Okay. Interesting. So yeah, for me, it's just a comfort thing. And it's like, I see AMD, I see the great reversals. I can take it again, but I haven't been comfortable, like really, really comfortable trading AMD lately over the past like year. So if I'm not comfortable with the trades that have happened in a stock for a year, I'm probably going to slowly forget about the stock. But we do leave up the weekly and monthly expected moves on Patreon because I know people pay attention to AMD. Exactly, Duranto. So tell me this, Duranto. Wouldn't you be excited if that all confirmed? Like if that confirmed down there and you see 30-minute divergence, wouldn't I would be excited, personally. I would be excited. Mr. Watson, thank you so much for the $4.99 and thank you for the question. I hope we are able to answer that in some way. There's just a ton of opportunities out there. And at the end of the day, one thing that you might want to consider is what is MAGS doing and things like that. And maybe I want to look at these type of stocks, right? Maybe I want to look at stocks that's part of MAGS and just be like, okay, there's 2-hour divergence there as well. We can make a 2-hour divergence again. But we do see it very nicely on this RSI. I mean, look at MAGS. Right? I mean, yeah, you violate that. Okay, whatever. We didn't violate the point. We didn't even violate this point. So I'm just like, okay, this is holding really well, and if Mags is showing it, all the other stocks that are a part of Mags are pretty much showing 2-hour stuff. It's kind of like pick your poison. It's kind of like pick your poison, right? This is why we might actually let's do a vote real quick. Let's do a vote real quick, okay? If we get, let's add. I think I want to add Mags maybe to the weekly expected moves. I think that would be fun to see how this thing reacts around weekly expected moves with you guys. So if you're down to see Mags for a few weeks here on the weekly expected moves, to let me know in the chat, okay? Just say I'm down, or I want to see Mags. Just say yes or no if you want me to potentially make weekly expected moves for this. And then if it looks good, you know, things react well by the end of the month, maybe we can make a monthly expected move as well. Yes, add Mags. Okay, Bearish Panic. Like, add the Mags. I don't know. I read your name, Bearish Panic, when you do chat, and I always think of a guy that's just panicking. Duranto's like, nah. Yes to Mags. I just think it would be interesting. See how those stocks are performing. Alrighty. Man, consumer, you know, that Michigan consumer sentiment actually, you know, it did cause a big drop. I wonder if it caused a big pop. Try to ask the question again. I might be just being stupid, Dubs, but what momentum ticker is most popular? Try to ask it in a different way. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being dumb. Been underwater ever since. Likelihood we get back there this month to 58.50. Looking at the SPX, we do give out weekly expected moves and monthly expected moves for the SPX. So if you want that right now, the upside move, actually the downside move is probably more important. So let's do that. The downside move, we'll put in purple so you're not confused. The downside move at least is what's important right now. So we'll just at least do that. So for the SPX, you're seeing a similar thing. So if you want this to get to, what is it, 58.50? How likely are we? I mean, if it's an option play, this is why it's hard to say for individual people's plays. This is why we don't talk about it. We just talk about decision making, because in order to actually help someone financially, you have to be pretty much there with them. Like, you have to know everything about them. You have to know everything about their expenses, everything. And that's why we just talk about decision making based on technical analysis, right? But for the time being, this is very similar to the SPY. This means that on the daily scale, it's pretty similar. The levels we want to watch for rejection are still right here at about 5,800. Right, 5,800 would be an interesting level to watch for rejection. But ultimately, if this thing squeezes, you got to get past that 59.50. If you get past 59.50, we still can see that trap set. But if you can see that extend or consolidate right here for a moment and then see that upside move, it would be good. And to show you that kind of similarly is when we saw the same put volume, when we saw, remember the JPY around here, that's what happened. Look at this, JPY right here, that's what happened. So same thing. If the daily curls up, you want to be very aware of a lower high here, okay? So this means if you get to that 58.50 and you see some reversal signals, or you're at a weekly expected move, you have to treat it with caution, because this MACD is so low that it's down at these levels. It's in bear market volatility. Bear market volatility is technically here. Now, you won't get people to confirm that you're in a bear market, but you know what will make people say you're in a bear market? A lower high. So really pay attention to reversal signals up towards this 59.50. It's kind of the center of all of this in here. But from this can build back over time if this daily can go positive and never reverse back down. I do not want that thing to reverse back down. I don't even want it to behave like this. I don't want it to behave, actually behaving like this would be good. I'm saying I don't want it to behave like this time. I don't want this. I actually don't. Why? Because by the time we make a move like this to get back to almost that all-time high and you reject, you could still be negative on this. And that's where the next drop right here, people will be saying bear market. And the funny thing about when people actually say the bear market has been confirmed, usually within like a week or two after they say like, oh, we're in a bear market, oh, we're in a bear market, oh, we're in a bear market. Once you start to see that everywhere, you actually get a pretty good move. Okay, and I'm going to show you this because I think it's very interesting. We have an old video percentages here, nothing really important there, but this here was when people said bear market. So you notice this level here, hey, what are we down? We're down about 12%. Some people were saying it then, some people, but everyone was saying it here. And then look what happened. You bounced, and then you made a daily divergence, and you got one of the first big bear market rallies. So you notice it was only a couple weeks later that you actually got a bear market rally. So right when people started to talk about it, you bounced. Right when people started to believe it was going to, potentially come back, even with divergence, so it was a good fake out, well, you went and made a triple one, and then you actually saw a bear market rally. So right when they start putting in the financial media, bear market, bear market, bear market, you want to be aware you're probably a week or two away from a bounce. Okay, but we're not in that yet. We still have to see how this behaves. So we're talking a little bit too far into the future, I think, for what we're talking about right now. Right now, we really need to be focusing on, do we even see this, right? And the way we see that, I think, would be seeing a 30-minute divergence on the SPX, on the SPY, on the Qs, on pretty much everything out there, unless it can hold up a higher low, like something like NVIDIA. But I think NVIDIA still has the opportunity to go all the way down and fill that gap and turn back up. You just hope this thing stays positive. So yeah, SPX, do you have a chance to get back up to those levels? Yeah, if you see confirmations soon, right? But this, I mean, it's just, we don't know about the trade, because if I personally was holding SPY and seeing this type of price action, I would still treat little cross downs pretty seriously, but also maybe be cost averaging a little bit at this point if I was investing at, say, that 585 or 580 level, right? I would still be potentially going, okay, now I'm seeing reversal signals. Let me balance that out a little bit so that maybe I don't need to get to 584 for that to break even on that, but maybe I just need to get to like 579, 580 to do that, right? Just so I can break even at least. And then if I see a stronger move past that, I'm just happy with it. So hopefully that was helpful. We talked about a lot of crap there. My bad. And the ADHD kicked in. I'm sorry about that. Oh, researching. Oh, you just want like a regular momentum, like the actual momentum. I like to see it just in the stock that I'm looking at personally. I just treat each individual trade as its own thing. That's just me. But there's stuff I've looked at in the past. I'll look into it and I'll try to come up with something for tomorrow maybe, because I just haven't looked at them in a while, especially since I've started the YouTube channel a lot, was more so just paying attention to direction based on signals in the SPY and QQQ, but I'll look into it. A journey to the bear market, right, Liz? Right. These stocks are juking me out, man. Yeah. Jeff, you want to see those mags on there as well? So Michael, let me know what you think about that little talk there. I just want to make sure we're at least, but as far as it goes, Michael, just to make you, think about this, but you got to make your own decisions. You got to know when enough's enough. And I think enough was enough once you saw this 2-hour fail the first move. You go, enough's enough, right? But for the time being, your monthly expected moves are in this area, and your price point you're looking at is in that area, and you're seeing these reversal signals. So I would say that from what we see, if we see this 30-minute divergence and we see this continue to head up, we see a daily curl up, that's when I think you're pretty set on your price point getting tagged again. But we'll have to see, and you have to have a plan for when enough is enough. You think Nvidia goes down to 80? It's possible. It's not probable according to the 30-minute now. Now, if the 30-minute went negative, the 2 hour started to cross down, that would be bad, right? We could go down to, I would say, at 102, maybe even 100, right? That whole number just below the zone. In order to go to 80, look at this big move, you get a bounce, then you get another big move. So in order to go to 80, I think you still want to invite that big move to see another big drop, right? Some kind of A to B to C to get there. So even though you could have that assessment, just be aware if you're going to experience a bounce. We experience bounces all the freaking time. Man, I need to work on my market psychology book today that I'm trying to write. Oh, it's so slow. It's so tough. A lot of thinking, a lot of brain power. I like to think that not a lot of things are safe in a bear market. Most likely you're going to see people run to safety type stuff. Okay, Michael, I'm glad. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for asking. Why is he barking? Alan, get down here. What are you doing? What you guys? What are you the Bash Bros? Why are you guys walking side by side everywhere and weird? Kind of dig it. You guys are dope. Maybe I need to get you guys some matching T-shirts, or actually, we should get them those muscle tanks. Let's get the boys some muscle tanks. How can you talk so cool when everything is red? Because I'm constantly thinking of the bad things that can happen, and I'm perfectly fine with managing risk. Like I said, if you're someone who just learns the management of risk in your trades, and also the other side is understanding what you're looking for, probably at weekly or monthly expected moves, so you're not just taking stupid plays and managing every single time. Once you take the management of risk into play here, and then you start to treat it very seriously, you start to not worry about big drops because you had a plan for it. Right? The only time that I really would maybe freak out, or not really freak out, but just be a little bit more disappointed, is once we get those confirmations. Like, this really disappointed me, and this happens in bear markets, so I'm used to it. But the fact that we had such good signals here, and then we failed to move with a big gap, that's the only time I get kind of bummed out, right? Especially a gap that happens on the weekend going into a Monday. Those are like the main times that bum me out. But if I'm seeing this by the weekly expected move, the last thing I am is freaking out, scared, whatever. I'm just like, okay, this curls down, I'm out. If it makes a divergence, then hello, thank you, print me some money. So yeah, maybe that's the standpoint. Next level. I like when volatility is really high, so you might even hear me excited more when I'm seeing price action like this. I just like when markets are fun too, you know, when markets are more interesting. I can be patient and actually watch stocks and enjoy just watching stocks like a television show. And then I can read all the stuff that people are saying on financial media or Twitter or whatever, and I know it's kind of like a, what's the best thing to compare it to? It's like if you were it's like in politics, like leftist tiers or right tiers, right? If I was on either side, that's more what it looks like to me. Like I like to watch people give analysis that's really, really bad. Yeah. But it's hard. It took a long time to get there next level, right? Once you have that bulk of money behind you, and then you understand risk management to the point where you're like, hey, this looks like we're creating some kind of topping process or something like that. It's like, okay, well then I can just pay attention to the signals correctly. I can hold mainly into cash, and that way if I'm 80% in cash, do you think I'm ever really that scared? Not really. But it is kind of like weird because I like psychology, so I hate that retail gets taken advantage of, but I think it's funny how people analyze stocks on Twitter and give their assessment for things. Like, I love going over to meet Kevin's channel and just reading his thumbnails. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. And I see price action like this and it's crossing down and it makes me want to go look at his channel right now and see what he's saying. Okay, I give up. I'm going to do it. What, did he call stock market crash yesterday? And hey, he could, you know, he might end up being right, but I won't be hurt by it because I have good risk management skills. Palantir versus UA. Okay. This was one of his videos. Let's go look. Oh, okay. All right. Goodness. Let's see. Sorry if you guys heard that for a sec. He has one of those things that like plays the video right away. I used to have that. I think I took that off, hopefully. Oh, okay. So he's bullish on Tesla as of yesterday. Man, he posts a ton of videos. How does he have this much time to post videos? Oh, he does it sitting at his desk. Just like we are kind of like live right now, and then he probably clips them. Crazy. Oh, and he's getting into topics. Yeah, this guy's just a YouTuber. I can tell from his topics. I'm like, why are you even talking about that if you're talking about markets? Kevin is just a salesman, like a car salesman. I think that's probably a good way to put it. But I mean, like, what is the value to people in talking about a stock that has just crashed and not saying potential anything? Right? It's like, what is the value of even talking about path right now, unless you're maybe investing at key levels, right? You lost key levels. So this will be the cheapest you ever get path. That's for sure. Maybe more, right? Could get cheaper. That's what the signals overall suggest, right? It can get cheaper, but it's like, do I need to just make viral videos using keywords and know that path is in the keywords for YouTube being searched a lot today? So I need to just tell you guys that path had a bad earnings? No, it's not helpful at all. Oh, I've been saying bear market for years though too, Chris. By the way, I'm not going to hate on someone for that. I think you've been approaching, I think you've had the risk of bear market for a long time, and you've had those signals before. It's just we've always worked out of those signals, so that's why we trade like water here, right? And I'm someone who, I would say, something I should... The problem is, like, you kind of have to talk about reversal signals like they can reverse, right? But we're always aware that can fail again. I'm always leaning towards this 2 hour making another divergence, right? We can make that again right now, make it a little double bottom, do something like that. But the problem is, I noticed that I'm usually about, like, I would say 3 to 6 trading sessions, or 3 trading sessions when we see something dramatic like this. I'm usually about 3 trading sessions off. So I'm trying to get better. I'm still trying to get better, just like everyone else, right? I'm still always trying to improve. That's why I try to make you aware of both sides. Willow, I love this. Please continue to do it. And just because 5 twerking men stopped traffic at an intersection in Tennessee, I'm going. I'm going to look at DLTR. That's true. Quad witching, or triple witching. So triple witching means this could last. Like, we could still sell off into like next week, next Friday. Lewis, thank you so much for subscribing. For DLTR, looks like 2 hour divergence could be there. Yeah, okay, so the 2 hour divergence is there. The bummer is Not on the RSI. It is on the MACD. You can take that, but you have to take this with a grain of salt. It's very flat on the MACD, very weak on the RSI, no real divergence there. So you have to be aware that this needs to make potential 30-minute lower, higher lows. We need to really build this thing up over time to see those bigger moves, I think. But something you could see as a 2-hour move that then fails, makes a double bottom, and it's pretty dramatic. Yeah, it's moving pretty dramatically. If you look at the daily scale, it's negative. Divergence is at the high, so it's very likely, even if you get a reaction here, even if you cross up this MACD, it's very likely to get rejected towards 70.50 is what I see. But if you can react past that, you know, you can always form stuff. It's always based on the price action. Things can change. Earnings around the corner at this time, though, so that would tell me might want to be a little cautious with that bad boy around that time. Rough. I just think the SPY looks good. And maybe the reason I don't freak out a lot is because I'm pretty patient with it. I'm willing to manage risk. I'm willing to be patient. And then watch. This always happens too. This always happens. I'm always a couple days off. I feel like I'm always a couple days off, but I'm trying to warn people in advance, like look for these things in the future. That's why I'm usually a couple days off from those lows. What time is it? Oh, 10:30. Okay, so actually past 10:30. So I will have to be hopping off, but I will be putting out that video tonight. And if you want to join the Patreon for daily expected moves for tomorrow, we put out daily expected moves for all the stocks that we cover here. So if I have expiration for tomorrow, it can be very, very helpful. But let's see if we actually create the 30-minute divergence today. I think this is the most obvious and best way for us to really see some kind of upside move. I'm actually pretty damn happy with it for the time being. So if we do not, remember this, let's make sure to say this towards the end of the video. If this is turned down, it means bad things. You are below a monthly, you are below a weekly. If you go below a daily, you can really see something crazy. What we're looking for is people to bet that something crazy is going to happen, and then we see an opposite thing happen where everyone goes bearish and then this starts to go bullish, and that is where we actually make a decision. Right here is where we actually make a decision, not while it is heading down. We do not guess. No guessing. If you're going to play momentum for an edge, you have to make sure the momentum is what you're actually trading. If you take a downward, or if you take a call while a stock is turned down, you better have some good reasons, okay? Because that means you are blatantly buying negative momentum. It's not a good thing. And I can tell you right now, I know everyone always wants to get the best price, always wants to get the best price, always. You will get a fine price waiting for divergence to confirm. All right, thank you guys so much for being here today. Really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great, great day. I hope you guys are making sure to manage it. In these times, this is like bear market practice again, right? So this is fantastic. You're always going to have to manage risk during a bear market, but the rips are where you make great money. So thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you guys are genuinely just having a nice day, having good times with your family, making sure to keep things in perspective and understand what's important, but making sure not to do anything silly with our moves, making a plan for the trade, and then trading like water. Thank you guys so much for joining. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace out.